Is it possible to pull off the cottagecore style in a tiny studio apartment? A small studio is kind of like a cottage, only higher up and in the city and crammed into a building with a bunch of other apartments. Okay, so the average studio apartment might lack some of the charm of a cute little cottage on the edge of the forest. But does that mean you're prohibited from doing a cottagecore look in your studio? Of course not. I actually think the two are very well suited for each other. And in this video, I'm gonna prove it to you. I found this 333 square foot studio listed online, and I'm gonna show you how I'd style this studio with a cottagecore look, from furniture layout to specific decor pieces. And you'll see that you might not be as limited as you think when it comes to your studio styling. I think you can pull off any style in a studio apartment, or at least capture the spirit of any style. And I get that you might not even know what your personal style is. It might be cottagecore or it might be something else. I've been working through my own personal style identity crisis for a couple years now. Oh man, every time I sit down to shop for my bedroom, I freeze up and I get writer's block only for decorating. And when you're feeling this kind of decorator's block, I think it's a good idea to just go back to basics and simply explore the different design styles that are out there and see what inspires you. And to help you get inspired and figure out what your personal style is, I'm excited to share that this week's video is sponsored by Skillshare. Since I've been on this seemingly never-ending quest to rediscover my personal style, I've been especially interested in reacquainting myself with the different design styles that exist and learning what goes into them and reassessing what I personally gravitate toward. And this class, called How to Work with Interior Design Styles Like a Pro, has been perfect for this. It's so comprehensive and doesn't just describe what these different styles look like in a broad sense, but it also walks you through the exact details to look for, right down to the types of chair legs. This is such a helpful resource for learning the landscape of interior design styles, then pinpointing which ones are right for you. And with Skillshare being the largest online learning community for creatives, there are all kinds of classes led by industry experts that will help you get super inspired in not just your home life, but your creative hobbies and career as well. Pretty much anything you love doing and want to learn more about or get better at, Skillshare probably has a class for it. And right now, the first 500 people to use the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can start getting inspired with all kinds of classes today. So head to the link in the description to get your free month trial, and thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And if you're new here, my name is Steffi, and on this channel I talk about apartment styling, cozy living, and the joys of living alone. So if you're into that, consider subscribing and giving this video a like. Now let me show you this 333 square foot studio apartment, and I'll show you how I would hypothetically decorate it in a cottagecore style. So this is a studio apartment listed here in Seattle. I figured I'd stay close to home for this one. As you can see, this is a very common floor plan for a studio where it's kind of like an empty box with a kitchen taking up one of the walls. This whole wall of kitchen thing can be quite a challenge when space is already limited. And aesthetically, it can be tough because the look of an entire wall of your space has basically been decided for you. The kitchen is just there being a kitchen, and you can't change how it looks aside from small styling details, but we'll get into that. One lovely thing about this studio is you have these big windows and a balcony, and oh my God, is that a taco time I see? Okay, I'm moving here. If you live in the Pacific Northwest, you get it. It's taco time and it's Dick's hamburgers that are the cherished fast food treasures around here. Anyway, then you have the main living area, and I'll show you how I'd arrange the furniture in a little bit. And one thing I would probably do is ask building management if I could paint this trim white or something, because this looks a bit dated in my opinion. Then we have a pretty big closet here, and also what I assume to be another closet, or maybe this is where a washer dryer is, and then the bathroom. So yeah, pretty standard studio apartment with a few nice perks. It's clean with modern amenities, has a spacious closet, has a balcony, and it's in close proximity to a taco time. What more could a girl want? So that's the studio. Now, how do we make cottagecore happen in here? Cottagecore is such a lush, layered, cozy style, and in a lot of ways, it's completely antithetical to what this studio is. Simply put, cottagecore summons the aesthetic of a cottage in a rural setting, and this is an apartment in a city. But I love cottagecore for a studio because despite how they differ conceptually, both lifestyles embrace a cozy simplicity that gives off those warm and fuzzy feelings we love. Cottagecore is wholesome, nostalgic, earthy, and vintagey, all of which are lovely antidotes to city living. So despite the modern obstacles in this studio, you can still create the spirit of cottagecore in here, especially because you have all this neutral space in the main living area. This is basically an open book for you to write whatever style story you want. Now, when it comes to layout for this studio, what I'd probably do is go with what I call the couch divider layout, which is what I had in my former studio. This is where the couch is placed parallel to the bed and acts as a divider between the living room and the bedroom area. In this video, by the way, I walked through 5 common studio apartment layouts and gave them each a name. So for more on that, I'll link to that video in the description. And in this studio, I think the couch divider layout is what I go with because you have this wall to put the TV against with the couch facing it. You could also consider the triangle layout, but that might feel a little cluttered, or the row, but that wouldn't leave a place for a TV, at least where the couch is facing it. So I guess if you don't have a TV, the row would work. But let's go with the couch divider layout for this video. I'd put the bed here, the couch here, and a media console with a TV here. So here are the cottagecore things that I found for this studio. We have this brown floral bedspread that really evokes the warm earthiness of cottagecore, along with this beautiful wooden headboard. Both of these have that rustic charm combined with a nice floral femininity. And to go along with that, I also found this pretty little throw pillow, which adds a touch of vintagey daintiness. And then I chose this green couch to tie into this greenish color on the headboard. By the way, anytime you can tie colors together like this, especially in a studio apartment, it creates an instant sense of cohesiveness. So if you live in a studio, I really swear by just repeating colors throughout the space, and that will immediately make your space feel more unified. And then there's this rustic media console to go against this wall. And what's cool about virtual tours like this is they have this little measuring tool. So I was able to measure if this media console would even fit here. And funny enough, both the wall and the media console are 69 inches. So this would fit perfectly. Same thing with the couch, which is just over 7 feet long. I measured out 7 feet with this tool and it looks like it'll work. It might be a bit on the long side, but for the sake of this video, let's just go with it. So with that, we have our 3 main focal points chosen for this studio. And from here, I'd start fleshing things out with the little cottagecore styling details throughout the space. So in addition to the little throw pillow I already showed you on the bed, I think these pillows would be so cute on the couch, and they'd play into the color story on the headboard, this sort of pink and green pairing. This headboard, by the way, really is an example of how one piece can inspire the whole room. A lot of my choices here stem from this headboard. So if you're lucky enough to find that one special piece that inspires the rest of the room, really embrace that. So that's why you're gonna see a very pink and green oriented color palette in this hypothetical design. And when it comes to this pink and green color story I'm going with, here's an optional idea. I say it's optional because it's pretty drastic, but for those of you who are down to go balls to the wall with your apartment styling, you might be interested in something like this. And that would be to paint the walls something like this color. It would add so much warmth and style to this otherwise plain studio, and it plays into this pinkish and greenish color story. But yeah, this is only if you're down to put the effort in and if you're allowed to paint your walls in the first place. And whether or not you paint your walls, you definitely want to put up some cottagecore wall art. Here's some pieces I found. Anything that incorporates mushrooms, foxes, flowers, all the wholesome, earthy nature imagery will help convey a cozy cottagecore vibe. And now when it comes to the kitchen, like I said earlier, it's all about the little styling details. There's no changing the fact that this is a very modern kitchen, but we can at least warm it up with a few small additions. And they really do have to be small because there's only so much counter space here. But you can get things like a vase of dried florals, these little ceramic herb jars, and a rustic wood tray that you could put more little cottagecore trinkets on. And then if you're up for it, you could even replace the little knobs or handles on the cabinets with little vintagey looking ones like these. They may be small added details, but this small change would bring so much character to this kitchen. Sure, it'd be kind of a mismatch, but cottagecore is kind of all about mismatching and bringing found objects together in unexpected ways. Then combined with a cute, almost grandma chic little rug like this, these are the little things that would bring some cozy cottagecore warmth to this kind of cold, modern kitchen. So as you can see, between finding the larger focal point pieces combined with the smaller styling details, it's totally possible to achieve cottagecore in a studio apartment. And of course, I realize that this was a very hypothetical virtual demonstration of how I would style this studio, but I swear I stand by my assertion that you can do any interior style in a studio. It might come with more size constraints and some compromises that you have to make, but really, I just don't think size matters when it comes to capturing a style. And the good thing about cottagecore in particular is it's meant for a small space anyway. Cottages are typically small. So I think that it's a good style to go for in any kind of small space. Even if that small space is a city apartment that pretty much is the opposite to everything that cottagecore embodies. But that's the magic of styling. It's a tool that we can use to transport us to different places and different headspaces. We can kind of create our own little fantasy worlds through the power of styling. And if you can conceptualize a style just like I did with this studio, you can find ways to make it happen. It just takes creativity and patience and a lot of effort, I'll admit. Let me know in the comments below, what city do you think I should pick an apartment in next, and what style do you think I should pair it with? And I will prove to you over and over and over again that you can at least conceptualize any style in a small studio. If you want more cottagecore inspiration, I recommend checking out this video next. It's all about dark cottagecore and is filled with visual inspiration and specific decor ideas. So if you want to check out cottagecore's kind of goth, moody sister, watch this video next.